All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Week number 8 NFL football. We're jumping into the core Sunday slate for today's video. If you don't know what we do on the channel, we have a specific video for Thursday night football, a specific video for Sunday night football, and a specific video for Monday night football as well. We also have an NFL parlay video out as well. So yeah, no Sunday night football in today's video, but the rest of the Sunday slate we are jumping into in this one. Make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. As always, let me know what you guys are rolling with in the comments too. But let's go ahead and jump in and not waste any time here. We're starting it off with the Indianapolis Colts taking on the New Orleans Saints here. So Colts at home, total sitting at 43.5, and they are getting a point. My first lean in this one is going to be towards the under 43.5. I don't mind even, under, if you want to take an alternate line, under 42, under 41.5 either. I do think that this is the type of like a 21-14 type of a spot, type of a game, because this Colts defense is actually a little bit better than I would say people are giving it credit for, ranking 14th in terms of defensive DVOA. And then obviously we know that this New Orleans defense is legit. Top 10, actually ranked 7th when it comes to DVOA. I like the under as my predominant lean in this game. Now, Gardner Minshew, I don't think he's going to go out there and do what he did last week. Really good game, even though they lose by 1 point. That was still such a high-scoring game, 38-39. And then on the Saints side of things, this has just been such an inconsistent offense to begin with, whether it's injuries or anything like that. And no, it just is an inconsistent offense. Yes, they scored 24 last week, but prior to that, they'd only breached the 20-point range once outside of, I guess, that blowout of the Patriots. I almost throw that out of my mind, being a Patriots fan. So I guess 2 times prior to last week reaching 20 points. But yeah, rambling at this point. Nonetheless, give me the under 43.5. When it comes to a side here, I'll lean towards the Saints, because if it is going to be an under, may the better defensive team win in my brain. But I definitely like the under more than either side in this game. If I were to give you, a prioritized ranking of my leans, the under is at the top. Pittsburgh hosting Jacksonville here. Pittsburgh coming off of a win against the Rams, in which the Rams kind of lost that game as much as Pittsburgh won it. But this Pittsburgh defense is legit. I think that we all know that by now. We just talked about the last game Jacksonville actually played. They won against New Orleans in this spot. This Jacksonville defense, I think, is finally starting to come around. They're ranked 4th defensively when it comes to DVOA metrics, top 15 team, when it comes to the offense. And I think that that's where you lose me if you're trying to, pine for the Pittsburgh side of things. This is a legit Pittsburgh defense, and I'll give you that. But it really is an offense that has not shown us anything yet, and for that reason, I'm out. I'm looking at Jacksonville here, minus the 2.5 points. I'd probably stay away from this spread if it was 3.5 or 4.5, so kind of tells you the margin of error. I'm allowing this right now, but Jacksonville minus 2.5, don't mind that whatsoever. In terms of the total 41, I think it's a very, very sharp line. If I don't want to necessarily make it an alternate line and lose some juice here, so I am going to lean towards the under, but my model has this right around 42 points being scored, which is a little difficult, right, when you look at a game total sitting at 41. So if you can monitor this, if you can get a better line, I think it's moving in the opposite direction, so you probably won't, but under 42.5 would have been perfect for me here, but it's only a 1.5. I got to remind myself that. I'll still look at the under in this spot. Again, 2 legitimate defenses, and these are like legit defenses. Last game I talked about the Colts being like an underrated defense. Pittsburgh and Jacksonville, these are 2 well-esteemed, legitimate defenses, and offenses that, yes, Jacksonville's offense started to look good, 30+ points in each of the games, but that was against Indianapolis and New Orleans. I think Pittsburgh has a better defense than both the aforementioned teams that we already talked about, so I'll lean towards the under as well, but main lean in this game is probably Jacksonville spread. And I should say, before we get into the rest of the games, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. We're going to go through each and every game like we always do. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread, lean on the total. We'll talk about the parts of the games, right? We'll break it down. All my final plays, so what I'm actually going to be rolling with myself in terms of my bets. If you want to fade me, if you want to ride with me, all those plays will be in the pinned comment. Obviously, we're not betting every single game, but I love talking sports, love talking football. We'll go through and give my thoughts on every game, but I'm not going to be betting each of these as a final play. My final plays, which will be a whittled down, the ones that I'm most confident in, right? Those will be in the pinned comment. So make sure to check the comment section if you do want to ride with me, or if you want to be a guppy and you want to fade me, check the pinned comment. But we got Carolina taking on Houston here. enough said about this Carolina team when you just say they are probably, and I don't even know if it's probable, worst team in the league right now, right? Yet to get a win. Houston has that grit. They have that fun factor. I like Houston in this spot. -3.5 does not scare me whatsoever. It has moved from, I think, 3, so it's moving just a little bit. I don't mind them on the money line either, right around that -160, but it's a lot of juice, so I'll take Houston in this one. I'll lay the points -3.5, but if you want to be safe, money line's probably your best bet there. In terms of a total, now this is a weird one because we've seen the Houston Texans score a bunch of points. We've also seen them have sort of off games, right? Like the game against Atlanta, they scored only 19 points, or the game against what was it, their opener, they scored like 10 points, right? Like they're a little like wishy-washy when it comes to scoring a bunch of points. But that said, I do think that, you know, this Carolina defense is nothing to hang their hat on. We've seen two teams, Detroit and Miami. Now those offenses are legit. Miami's obviously better than the Texans, but they both scored 42 points in back-to-back weeks against this Carolina team. Carolina coming off of a bye as well. I don't necessarily think that, you know, that's going to matter all that much. I'll take the over with a slight lean just because I think it's kind of crazy to take an under in a Carolina game right now, regardless of who they're playing, because that defense plays so poorly. All right, before we continue on with these games, I do want to talk to you about Sleeper. You've heard me talk about them on the channel plenty, and I'm going to keep talking about them because I love this app, guys. If you're not on Sleeper, make sure to go grab it. You can get 100% of your first deposit matched with the link in the pinned comment. And if you're a new user and you haven't checked it out yet, you get that deposit match and you get this Sunday night football square here, Austin Eckler. They've knocked his rushing yards line down to 0.5. If you don't know what Sleeper is, it's a simple player prop DFS pick'em app. You pair 2 players, or, you know, combine up to 8 players in a slip. The more you get right, the more you get paid out. Essentially a player prop parlay platform. Very, very cool, guys. If it's legal in your state and you're not on Sleeper yet, make sure to go check it out. Again, 100% of your first deposit matched. If you're not on Sleeper, you're sleeping. Time to wake up. Go win over on Sleeper. I love this app. I'm posting plenty of TikToks with my Sleeper picks. We went 2 for 2 in our last one as well, which is good to see. But go check out Sleeper, guys. Link in the pinned comment. Back to the games here. We got Philadelphia taking on Washington. Now, this is a tough spot for the spread because this Philadelphia team is legit. We saw them come in and play some good football against the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. That was one that we were on the right side of, right? And I just think that this is a team that, you know, they're finally coming into form. Like, it's so funny how the NFL works. Because it's one game a week, it leaves so much time for deliberation about teams at the beginning of the year. The Eagles don't look as sharp as, you know, people expected them to look, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, is this Eagles team the same? Is their defense even that good? Yes, top 10 defense, DVOA ranking wise. Top 10 offense as well. Like, yes, they you know, started undefeated and weren't playing like people wanted them to play, I guess you could say, but they're still such a legit team. Last time they played this team, though, it was a close game, 34-31 here, but I think this Eagles team is just so far, you know, head and shoulders above Washington. We saw Washington struggle against the, wait for it, Giants last week. I can't confidently go on that side, so I lean towards the Eagles minus the 7 points. Maybe buying a half of a point to get it to 6.5 is the smart move. Total sitting at 43.5. Don't have the biggest of vibes for this one, or even the data here, but I'm going to lean towards the under just because I don't think that we trust that Washington offense. The problem there, and the caveat to certainly throw in, is that, well, this Eagles team against a Washington team that I don't really believe in this defense. You remember at the beginning of the year when everyone was like, this Washington defense so good? No, they have a couple good pass rushers. They're a bottom 5 team defensive DVOA ranking, right? But this Eagles team could throw up a bunch of points and kind of stomp on them. So I'll lean towards the under. Don't know if I have the cojones to make it a final play, because if Philadelphia scores like 35 points, you know, that's a pretty tough under to take. But give me the Phillies. Give me the Eagles here minus the 7 points. If I make that a final play, probably be buying it down to 6.5, to be completely honest, so that we have that sort of edge of winning by a touchdown. Dallas taking on the Rams here. If you watched H2H, Tassos loves Dallas in this week, and I do too. I'm forced to take the Rams in that show, but for my personal picks here, I'm going to be looking at Dallas here minus the 6 points. I just think that this is such a good spot for them. You can look across the board in terms of their matchups against this. It really is like a Dallas all day long. And I talked about it in my parlay of the week video. Go check that on the channel as well, right? Dallas has the Eagles the following week. Like, they know that they need to get this win, or they're at risk of dropping 2 in a row, because that Eagles game is going to be tough. So give me Dallas here minus the 6 points. I think they win this game by a touchdown. If you are on the Rams, I talked about on H2H, it is a chunk of points, and they do have some serious talent offensively and even defensively that, you know, I could understand the rationale of taking the Rams, but this is a Dallas game like through and through for me. Total sitting at 45.5. I'm going to trust that this is a Dallas defense that, you know, is ready to play. They're their top 3 defensive DVOA ranked team. I think that they make it tough for the Rams, and they don't necessarily need to go out there and score a boatload of points. So I'm going to lean towards the under 45.5 in this one as well. All right, Miami taking on the Patriots. I don't even know where to come out on this. I know the total says 45 here. It's actually sitting at 46.5 now at the time of recording. I like the under, but I don't know what to do with a spread pick here. I'm a Patriots fan. I've lost all hope in them, and then they go and beat the Buffalo Bills last week, and it's like, all right, wait a second. Is Mac Jones good? Probably not, but he looked okay. Miami doesn't look all that great against Philadelphia, and if you flash back to, what was it, week number 2, Miami only, and I say only, put up 24 points against the Patriots. So the defense kind of has their number. Divisional matchup. I think it's a slower pace, grinded out type game. It is in Miami, so that should result in, I guess, a few more points than what we saw in week number 2. But nonetheless, I'll lean towards the under 46.5 here. Don't have a spread pick. It's too big of a number to lay as Miami, in my opinion, and then too small of a number even for the Patriots. We've seen the Patriots get beat by 1,000,000 points at many times this season, right? Like, I can't trust them to keep it to within a touchdown and a field goal. I just can't. Giants, Jets, this is literally a game that I almost have no interest in betting. Maybe you look at the Jets because they've won 2 straight games. They beat the Eagles a couple weeks ago, head into the bye, now come out of the bye facing a Giants team that is god-awful. Got a win against Washington, right? But, like, what's the sort of, you know, cheering and right home to mom and dad type of spot about that? No, Washington isn't good either. I guess I lean towards the Jets minus the 3 points, but I doubt either the spread pick in this one or me leaning towards the under because I don't like either of these teams. The total makes it into the final plays. It's just a garbage game in my opinion. In fact, you're a psycho if you have a strong opinion on this game, but sure, go ahead and let me know in the comments if you do, but you are an absolute psycho betting this garbage game. Tennessee taking on Atlanta, another game that was discussed in H2H. I can't stress enough how much fun that is recording with Tassos. Guys, if you don't know what that show is, go check it out. It's on the channel, posted on Thursdays at 12 p.m. Me and Tassos battle it out head-to-head, head in H2H. Go check it out. But Tennessee, he broke down and was pretty much like, this team's given up. Shopping Derrick Henry, just traded a couple big pieces, right? Like, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. They are kind of on the wrong trend. In Atlanta, as weird it is to say, they are on an upward trend, even though I don't like this Atlanta team. So give me Atlanta here, minus the 2.5 points. Weirdly enough, it has a decent chance of being a final play, even though I don't love Atlanta in this spot. The total sitting at 35.5. Super low, but I don't think we can trust an over with either one of these offenses. So I'm going to stick away from the total because I want to take the bait at the over, right? I want to take like a, you know, this could be a 20-17 game, relatively low-ish scoring, even though that's high scoring for either of these teams right now. But I'll probably stick away from it and kind of think with my head on this one because it's low for a reason, right? So I'll keep my lean at Atlanta minus 2.5 in this game, and that's about it. Next up, we have Green Bay taking on Minnesota, and it smells like a trap, but I'm going right towards the pot of honey, and I am taking Minnesota here, minus the 1.5 points. Total sitting at 41.5. I don't have much of a play on the total just because this Green Bay team has been so bleh as of late, but I love Minnesota here, minus the 1.5 points. But again, seems like it may be a trap. This Green Bay team has lost 3 straight games. 2 of those losses, their last 2, Las Vegas and Denver. Like, what are we doing here? And then Minnesota comes off 2 wins, their last win being in primetime against San Francisco. Is it sort of a guppy play? Is it sort of a too easy? Am I taking the bait? Maybe, but I'm walking right towards the trap. I think this Minnesota team, even without JJ, is sort of a team that is playing worse than they actually are. They're 3-4 right now, but they're 2-1 on the road. And I don't think this Green Bay team is really worth betting. So in terms of a lean, I'm definitely looking at leaning towards Minnesota because I can't back Jordan Love or even that Green Bay team right now. Their defense thinks, their offense hasn't looked good. So give me Minnesota here, minus the points. All right, guys, before we continue on with the slate, I do want to talk to you about OddsJam. If you don't know what OddsJam is yet, it is a site that has a plethora of tools to help people like you and me beat the sports books here. You can get 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment, or 7 days free and 25% off your first month with code GUYBOSTON when signing up for a subscription there. And what I like about them, really cool thing they have is the fantasy optimizer. So I talked about that Austin Eckler square earlier in the video, right? They have a sleeper fantasy optimizer here that's really cool. You can head over there and look at what are the highest percent chance to hits based on sportsbook odds over on sleeper. So this one right now is Prize Picks. You can see Allen Lazard over 2.5 receptions. Sportsbook's absolutely juicing this one, a really good Prize Picks play, right? You can go through tonight, Ben Simmons, now it's filtered into sleeper, but overall you get the gist. What it does is it compares sportsbooks lines to Prize Picks lines or sleepers lines, so you can know obviously the higher the negative number on the sportsbooks, the more juiced it is, the more likely sportsbooks think it's going to happen, so you can go over there and hammer that one. For example, this is a cool one right here, minus 189 on Caesars for Drew Holiday's under and 6.5 assists tonight, right? That may be a good sleeper pick to take because sportsbooks have a lot more data and a lot more research than some of these DFS apps, and you can go in there and fire that one off. You don't want to be putting these plus money plays in there because odds don't matter on these DFS apps, right? So go check out OddsJam, if not just for this tool, guys. Again, you get 25% off your first month as well as 7 days free. OddsJam is a legit tool. I'm using it all of the time, and I talk about it all the time as well, so you guys know it's a real plug there. I don't promote crap that I don't use. I'm very, very stingy. If you saw my emails, you'd be like, you're leaving that much money as a smaller creator, right? You're leaving that much money on the table, and my answer is yes. I'm not going to promote some BS just to get a bag. I'd rather promote something that I legitimately use. Half the time, more than half the time, the company sees that I use the tool and then reaches out. So proof's in the pudding there, right? Like I'm using a tool before I am paying for it, using it like a customer, and then they're like, hey, you want to promote this? I'm like, I guess I can just do what I've been doing, right? So guys, go check out OddsJam. Really, really cool tool. We're looking at Cleveland here taking on Seattle in the next game of the slate. This one I went back and forth on. I don't love this spot here whatsoever. I like the under, even though Seattle, offense there's pretty good, but I don't really see many points being scored in this one. But I like the under 38, super low. I don't think I pull the trigger on it. And I also don't mind looking at the Browns getting points here. Now, they've had the run-of-the-mill injuries, whether Deshaun Watson's playing or not, he stinks. PJ, like I get it. The Browns their season's kind of toast, right? But 4 points is 4 points, and I'll take that in terms of a lean. I don't think it becomes a final play, though. That's just me being completely honest with you. I'll never fake confidence for content, obviously. All right, Denver taking on Kansas City. I don't necessarily think that there's anything to really break down here. Obviously, Kansas City, the better team. They're on the road, though, favored by 7 points. I still think that it's a fair spot for them here. Last time they played was just a couple weeks back, right? And they won 19-8. So, yes, low-scoring game. That was in prime time as well. But they still covered the line. And they were, I think, 10.5-point favorites. They cover that. They should be able to cover this -7. The one thing I'll say, and this is just for the people back home keeping track here, this is a Denver offense that offensively has started to climb the charts. Now, I'm saying climb the charts because think about where they were just a few weeks back, right? This is a team that's now ranked 15th, so top half of the league in offensive DVOA. And it's kind of crazy because they're still not putting up that many points. They have a couple good games here, but this is just an offense that may be starting to click. Now, I don't trust Russ. I don't really trust the team altogether. I think it's a pretty easy lean towards Kansas City, but I wanted to throw that out there that, yes, they beat Green Bay last week. I wouldn't put too much weight into that, but, it is a team that DVOA, what it is compares the opponents that you're playing and the opponents that the opponents have played and like that type of thing, right? And kind of equalizes everything. Them being a top half team in the league offensively is mile high better than where they were, right? Just a little while ago. So it doesn't change my pick here. I did just want to throw that out there. In terms of the total 46, I want to say it's a little high just because of, seeing what happened last time these two teams played, but it wouldn't surprise me if this one goes over. I think the Chiefs, their offense is cooking right now, scoring last week, 31 points against the Chargers. They should be able to score 27 plus against this Denver team, even though they didn't last time. That was a low scoring game. They scored 19, right? So give me the over in this one very slightly in. San Francisco taking on Cincinnati. A lot of injury concerns in this one. Obviously, Brock Purdy is doubtful. Trent Williams questionable. Debo is out until further notice here. A lot of injuries, so it's tough to make a pick in this game not knowing the injuries. So I'll probably stick away. But if I had a gun to my head, I think I would still trust Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers defense, I guess, which kind of sounds crazy because Sam Darnold being in there is not something to totally trust, right? I don't love that. And then you have the Cincinnati team that's won 3 of their last 4 games here, though it was, the Rams, who I don't know how much we want to buy into that, the Cardinals, who they stink, and then Seattle, I would give them a quality win, right? But I just don't know if I can trust Cincinnati just yet. I like them. We've made money on them this season, taking them a couple times, but I just don't feel, like I can trust them as far as I could throw them, right? So I'm going to trust the San Francisco defense here, minus 3.5 points. I don't think it becomes a final play because of all the injuries. Total sitting at 43.5 in this one as well. This is where I do think that, we could see an over here. If San Francisco can put up 20 plus points without Brock Purdy, then I think Cincinnati can kind of do something similar here. So I'll lean towards the over. But again, those injuries and not knowing who's playing, who's in, who's out, is probably going to keep me off this game. And I'll always emphasize, don't press yourself. Don't force a bet. Don't force a play. Early enough, in the year still, it's only halfway through this year. You don't need to dig yourself a hole with a stupid bet, right? So be conservative, be smart, and early enough in your betting career, no matter if you're a 70-year-old bettor right now or a 19-year-old bettor, always consider it a long game. It's not a get-rich-quick thing, no matter how old you are. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Pretty much what I'm saying is, be smart. Don't just force something because you're going to watch it or something like that, which you might be watching San Francisco, Cincinnati thinking, oh, well, this defense, just like I said, right? This defense is still good. They can go up there and stink because they don't have the consistency of Debo or Brock Purdy or Trent Williams. Big misses there. Arizona taking on Baltimore, and this one's kind of crazy because I think it's just too big of a number, 9.5. I think this is obviously a good Baltimore team. We saw them rout Detroit last week, 38-6, but it just seems like too high of a number. I'm not saying this Cardinals team is good. They've lost 4 straight games. I think they're 3-0 or they're 0-3-1 against the spread in those 4. Just seems like too many points. I don't know why. All right, do we have the cojones to pull the trigger on it? Probably not. But I like the under in this game as well. So give me the under as well as Arizona plus the 9.5. Yeah, do I make it a final play? Like I said, I'm kind of crazy to take Arizona here, but I don't like laying 9.5 with a Baltimore team that, yes, they're good. I need it to be proved a little bit more. Yes, you beat Tennessee. Good for you. You routed Detroit. I'll give you that, right? But I want to see a little bit more before we go ahead and back them. So give me the under as well as Arizona. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you made it till the end, go ahead and comment 22.5 because you made it about 22.5 minutes into today's video. Appreciate everyone tuning in and just the channel growth. I owe that to you guys. I'll jump on here and make videos. The community, the sharing, the comments, the liking, that's all you guys. And that does not go unnoticed. I'm not one of those creators being I'm the best. No. I'm an average guy. I happen to have a camera and a microphone, and you guys mess with it in a good way. You know what I mean? Yeah, excuse my French here, but you fuck with what I'm doing, and I appreciate the hell out of that. So hopefully you guys continue to do that. Hopefully we can keep giving you winners, but even if we're owing $1 million in our last million bets, we're going to show up here, have a good time, talk some sports, no matter what, all right? I can promise you guys that. We'll catch you guys in the next video, all right? Peace out.